My name is Hollywood. I'm a certified Iyengar yoga teacher, and today we're going to practice a balancing sequence for the Kapha Dosha. Start in Tadasana. As you press down through your inner back heels, lift the sides of the chest up in the opposite direction. Raise the arms out to the sides and extend the arms from the center of the chest. Rotate the upper arms and then extending the arms up overhead, join the palms, take the head back and look up. With an exhalation, come to Uttanasana. Keep the inner back heels pressing down and the backs of the thighs lifting up in the opposite direction. Extend the spine and look up. Draw the tops of the thighs back, lift the abdominal organs away from the floor, and extend the collarbones forward even more. Bend your knees, place your hands down on the floor, and while exhaling, jump up and back to Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Look up, keeping the tops of the thighs lifting away from the floor. Bend the elbows and come to Chaturanga Dandasana. Roll over the tops of the toes, keep the thighs lifting up, and take the head back as you did in Urdhva Namaskarasana, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Roll over the toes, reach back through the tops of the thighs, lift them up, and come to downward facing dog. Raise the head up, bend the knees, and jump forward. Come back to Uttanasana. Urdhva Namaskarasana. Namaskarasana. Tadasana. Urdhva Namaskarasana. Uttanasana. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Keep the inner back thighs lifting and the buttock bones turning from the inside out. Move the sides of the chest forward as you take the head back. Chaturanga Dandasana. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Uttanasana. Urdhva Namaskarasana. Namaskarasana. Tadasana. This time we'll add in 2 standing poses to our Surya Namaskar. The first one is Veer Vajrasana 1, Proud Warrior 1. The second standing asana is Parivrtta Trikonasana, Revolve Triangle pose. Tadasana, Namaskarasana, Urdhva Namaskarasana, Uttanasana, Adho Mukha Svanasana, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, Chaturanga Dandasana, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Join the feet, keeping the 2 shoulders, the 2 hips level. Raise the right leg up. Come to Ekapada Adho Mukha Svanasana. With an exhalation, bend the knee, bring the foot forward between the 2 hands, turn the left foot in, and come up. Urdhva Namaskarasana. With an exhalation, keeping the left buttock bone turning from the inside out, inner left knee pulled up and away from the floor. With an exhalation, bend the right knee to come to Veer Vajrasana 1. Use the upward extension of the arms. Keep the spine pulled up and moving into the body. With an exhalation, take your arms out to the sides. Adjust the inner left heel so it's pressing firmly to the outer left heel. And with an exhalation, take your right hand down onto the floor outside your right foot. Turning the spine, keep it moving into the body like you did in Urdhva Veer Vajrasana 1 and come to Revolve Triangle. Bend the knee, place the hands on the floor, raise the right leg up, and come back to Ekapada Adho Mukha Svanasana. Left side. Raise the left leg up, keeping the shoulders and the hips balanced. Extend through the left heel. Bend the knee and bring the left foot forward between the two hands, turning the right heel in. Take the arms up to Urdhva Namaskarasana. Keep the right buttock bone turning from the inside out, and the inner right knee lifting up away from the floor as you bend the left knee to come to Veer Vajrasana 1. Extend the arms out to the sides. Watch that the spine doesn't drop here. Pull it up and into the body, and with an exhalation, stretch out over your left leg and take your right hand onto the floor outside of it. Watch that that inner right knee doesn't sink. Keep it pulled up and away from the floor, and turn the right buttock bone, turn the waist, turn the ribs, the abdomen and the chest, bend the neck and the head, and look up. Bend the knee. Take the hands back to the floor, on either side of the left foot. Raise the left leg up to come back to Ekapada Adho Mukha Svanasana. Look up, jump forward to Uttanasana. Urdhva Namaskarasana. Namaskarasana. Tadasana. Can you feel the invigorating, heating effects of the Surya Namaskar with the standing asanas interspersed between them? Now we're going to do a neutralizing pose that's still invigorating, Shirshasana, the head balance pose, the king of all the asanas. As Lois Steinberg, a senior Iyengar yoga teacher in Champaign-Urbana, Illinois says, Shirshasana, like the father, is firm on the outside and soft on the inside. If you haven't already been taught Shirshasana by a qualified, certified yoga instructor, repeat Adho Mukha Svanasana. I'm not using the wall. If you use the wall to do Shirshasana, take your mat back to the wall. Your knuckles should be an inch away from the wall, your buttocks off the wall and lifting up towards your heels, and you can place your heels on the wall. When I take my head down to the floor and bring the back of my head into my hands, I make sure that I'm on the absolute median line of the crown of my head. As I lift my legs, I press my elbows, my forearms, and my outer wrists down into the floor, which helps keep my shoulder blades pulled up in the opposite direction. Now, just like Veer Vajrasana 1 and Parivritta Trikonasana, I move my spine into my body as I take my legs up to Shirshasana. Remember in Ekapada Adho Mukha Svanasana, one leg downward facing dog, how you kept the two shoulders and the two hips level as you extended up through the heels. Now you can do that through both heels. Keep the tops of the thighs pressing back like you did in Uttanasana, concave spine, and see that you continue to press down evenly through the base of the pose, because that will keep you lifting up in the opposite direction. When the shoulders are lifted, the neck feels light, and so does the brain. To come down, I
keep the shoulder blades and the thoracic spine pulled up and in. I keep them close to me. I lift my abdominal organs up and pulled in as I lower my legs back down. And then I rest in Adho Mukha Virasana.
Our next two poses are back bends. One is a prone back bend, and one isn't. The first one is called Shavasana. It's the locust pose. Start lying down on the median line of the front of your body. Extend your arms back in the direction of your feet, palms facing up. See how I raise my right leg up and turn the right buttock bone from the inside out, and then extend strongly from the rib cage all the way through my waist, my buttock, my leg, out into my foot, to elongate that leg before I bring it down. Do the same thing on the left side. Turn the buttock bone in the back of the thigh from the inside out, roll the front of the thigh from the outside in, and then stretch from all the way at the bottom of the rib cage, through the tips of the toes, to elongate the leg, to stretch it out from the waist and the pelvis, as you bring the little toe sides of the feet down and onto the floor. Raise your head up, move it forward, roll the tops of your shoulders back, move the outer shoulder blades in. Now raise the hands up off the floor and reach the fingernails back towards the toenails, and then keeping the buttocks moving away from your lower back, raise the tops of the thighs up like you did in Uttanasana. So you were lifting them up and pressing them back in Uttanasana, and you're lifting them up and pressing them away from the mat here. With an exhalation, release the arms and the legs and come back to the prone position. Let's repeat it again. Join the big toes and the inner edges of the feet. Roll the tops of the shoulders back. This time, to get more action in the dorsal thoracic spine, interlace your fingers, roll your shoulders back, squeeze the heels of your hands together, and then pull yourself up by reaching back through your knuckles. Now keep your shoulders, your arms, your hands reaching as far back towards the wall behind you as you can, and then, without bending the knees, keeping the inner knees lifting like you did in Veer Vajrasana 1, buttock bones turning from the inside out, raise the legs up and stretch them in the direction of the arms. Exhale and come back to the mat. Purvottanasana. This pose is the reverse of Paschimottanasana. Paschimottanasana is the intense stretch of the back of the body. Purvottanasana is the intense stretch of the entire front of the body. We're going to learn it with bent knees first. From Dandasana, bend your knees and place your feet, the soles of your feet, on the floor. Don't bring your heels too close to your buttocks. So see how I keep my spine pulled up and moving in, and I bend my knees just enough to be able to bring the soles of my feet to the floor. Now watch, as I take my hands to the floor, don't drop the back ribs at all.
Okay, now with an exhalation, keeping the tops of the shoulders pressed back, tips of the shoulder blades moving in, upper arms turning from the inside out, shift the weight forward towards your heels, and then lift the backs of your thighs and your buttocks, your back ribs, and the tips of your shoulder blades up. Bring your chin to your chest. See that you're not puffing your abdomen. Release the abdomen down, roll the front of the thighs from the outside in, pull the sides of the rib cage up, and then, leaning forward into the toes, take your head back in the opposite direction. See how when I come back to the floor, my ribs are still pulled towards the front of my chest? Let's repeat that pose with bent knees again. As you take the heels of your hands to the floor, roll the tops of the shoulders back and turn the upper arms from the inside out to gather the outer shoulder blades in and lift the sternum from the bottom to the top. With an exhalation, press the balls of the toes and the toes down into the floor, move the buttocks in the direction of the backs of the knees, and lift the middle of the buttocks and the tailbone up. Keep it pinned up towards the ceiling. Now, rolling the shoulders back even more, press down into the fingers, pull the sides of the chest up, and take your head back. Exhale, keep your chest lifted as you come back to Dandasana. You can repeat the pose with bent knees again, or from Dandasana, rolling the front of both thighs in, turning the buttock bones from the inside out. Take the hands back onto the floor behind you. Now you really have to pull the back ribs and the tips of the shoulder blades forward towards your toes. And with an exhalation, move the buttocks forward. Press the toes and the balls of the toes down. Pull the backs of the thighs, the buttocks, and the sides of the chest up in the opposite direction. Exhale and come back to Dandasana. Feel how you've separated the rib cage from the abdomen and opened your chest. This pose builds a lot of heat in the legs, but also in this area of the body that's so important during Kapha season to keep invigorated and warm, the prana vayu. Our last pose is Salamba Sarvangasana, the queen of all asanas, the shoulder balance pose. Lois Steinberg, senior Iyengar yoga teacher, says that Sarvangasana, which is the queen of all the asanas in light on yoga, is like the mother, soft on the outside, but firm, stable, unwavering on the inside. For this pose, take 3 blankets, place them on the short edge of your mat, and stack them one on top of the other. You can use a block, a bolster, or a folded blanket as a support underneath the pelvis. Remember, if this is a pose that you haven't already been taught by a certified yoga instructor, or if you have any issues with your neck or your shoulders, to do the variation or the modification, the alternative pose that was given in the sequence written on mariasfarmcountrykitchen.com.
Start with the top of your shoulders and inch away from the blankets. See that the majority of your neck is not on the blankets. Hold the sides of the mat. Turn the upper arms from the inside out. Raise the buttocks and the back ribs enough just to gather those shoulder blades in towards your spine. And then lower your buttocks and your sacrum back onto the block. With an exhalation, keeping the tops of your shoulders, the top of your upper arm bone, the backs of your upper arms and your elbows down on the floor. Lift your buttocks, your hips, and your legs up and swing them over you and behind your head. When you put your belt on, go slowly so that no part of the base of your pose becomes unstable. As you bend your elbows, turn your upper arms from the inside out even more. Take your hands onto your back ribs and walk your feet back slightly if you need to, so that your back ribs lift by the turning of the upper arms and the pressing down on the shoulders and the backs of the upper arms. With an exhalation, moving your organic body back towards your spine. Pull the femurs back and lift them up. Now you can see your legs. In Shavasana you can't, so you don't know if they're coming forward or moving back too far, unless you're sensitive to the way that the weight is placed over your head, your neck, and your arms. But now you have your eyes, and you should use them to see that from your outer ankles to your outer knees to your outer hips to the sides of your trunk and your outer shoulders, you're in one line. Keep the spine, as you did in the standing poses, pulled in and extending up. See how I use the stretch of my legs to lift my spine. Come out of Sarvangasana, pull your thighs towards your hips, lift the pelvis and the tops of the thighs up and away from the floor. Keep the backs of the knees open, inner knees lifting like you did in Shavasana. Extend your arms, stabilize the tops of your shoulders as you take the belt off. Press the tops of the shoulders down as you take your arms overhead to come to Shavasana. Now, with an exhalation, relax your spine, move it out of your body, bend your knees, and bring your feet to the floor. Turn over onto your side and come up slowly for Shavasana. During the late fall and the winter months, I always make sure to cover myself with blankets so that I don't get too cold. And I also don't stay as long in Shavasana during Kapha season as I do during Vata season and Pitta season. During the dark, cold winter months and the wet spring months, I like to spend a few moments the first first part of Shavasana, focusing on exhaling and releasing my limbs, my spine, down to the floor, and my inhalations to lift, expand, and warm the prana vayu, located in the area of the heart and the lungs.
I hope you enjoyed our sequence today. As always, feel free to post any comments or questions on mariasfarmcountrykitchen.com, and Jeff and I will be happy to reply. Namaste.